Hi and welcome to Budget Model Railways, and a layout you've seen before, but I want to talk about it in a different way tonight because as a number of you know, I'm a big fan of shunting. I particularly like infinite shunting puzzles. I like using the card system, shuttle the wagons, and I built all sorts of infinite layouts, but I've come to the conclusion this is the best shunting switching layout that I've made, but it's an oval. So I thought I'd take a bit of time to explain why I say that. Talk a little bit about the layout. Hopefully get some shunting done, film some shunting, and talk also about the upcoming layout that I'm working on now. So quite a bit to watch, so please stay tuned. So for anybody not familiar with this, it's 27 inches by 14.5 inches, or 37 centimetres by, let's have a do that in 37 centimetres by just under 70. It's a complete layout, it's a loop. I've only got a small hill at the back. I haven't got a hidden fiddle yard, but it does have everything you could want in a layout. It's got a bay there for a station. It's got a station with an island platform, signal box, level crossing, big goods area, station building, some houses, road. It's even got a stream down in the bottom corner. So it's got most of the features you want. It's got quite a small ingle nook. But what I discovered which was interesting is that although these two sidings are actually a little bit too short, in fact, were I to make the layout again, I'd make it 3 or 4 inches longer and have them slightly longer. It doesn't really matter because the third siding, which tends to be the one where you put the trains together, is obviously endless. And the head shunt the other way is pretty much endless. So although the sidings are restricted, because the head shunt and the main siding are pretty long, that doesn't seem to cause a problem. Now, important fact, what I can also do with this layout is I can get 6 of these medium length wagons in there and a small shunting loco, which means I can hold a goods train in here and then run a passenger train if I want to. The reason I say, for me, it's the best shunting layout I've ever built is because once I've done some shunting and I've got my consist, I can run the train away somewhere. It hasn't got to just go down a head shunt, then come back in again and start again. It's a bit of a break, if you like. It disappears somewhere else. And it also means that I can run locos around. I can watch trains go round as well as shunt. And as I say, if I use 6 wagons, I can also run a passenger train round. And lengthwise, this is considerably shorter than a traditional inglenook would have to be with a head shunt. It's just slightly wider, but it's probably only 4 or 5 inches wider. So what you end up with is a complete layout, a complete compact model railway, which you can shunt and run trains go round in not much more space than a traditional inglenook. Now, obviously, there is a bit of a cheat. I'm using Kato 150 radius curved points, but they're very reliable on these Kato locos. In fact, I can even get large locos round. Bear with me a second. So for instance, my Boco or Kobo, whatever you want to call it, D10 locomotive will go round it. Try doing that, by the way, with a UK outline diesel. But being Japanese, they're designed to manage smaller curves. Now I can also go steam. I can run the various pocket line steam trains at the station. So it's been a really good layout. So let's show you a little bit of shunting. So what I'm going to use, I've got these little cards just with the wagons written on. Now I do have a cunning plan. I'm going to photograph the wagons, print them, laminate them, and then I'll have a set of shuffle cards. I've got 6 wagons and a brakeman. So it's really just a classic inglenook puzzle. We'll run the train round. Now obviously I'm also quite fortunate. Doug wired these DBTT, or however you pronounce it, switches, so the points are electric. But the layout is completely self-contained. Everything's all wired in. All I have to do is plug in the controller. So I can shuffle the cards. Now I can guarantee you that what happens here is I was shunting for an hour last night with no difficulty at all. The minute I've now pressed record, I can assure you all sorts of things will go wrong. So I'm going to have 6 wagons and the brakeman. I've got 4 wagons there that I'm going to take out on the consist. Down on bits of card there. So I know what order I'm going to take them out in. So I actually want, this is when it gets interesting, I want the first wagon as the last wagon. So the easiest thing to do, I use our own PWM controller. And one of the actually what I'm going to do is, I'm trying to talk and shunt at the same time. We'll leave the brake band there, because that's going to be at the end. And one of the advantages of this controller is you can leave it at set speed and just flip it backwards and forwards. Now occasionally some locos run better or quicker one way than the other, but by and large I can leave the speed on a setting and just flip the direction. So there we go. Now all I'm using to uncouple is a bent paper clip cut short on a coffee stirrer, and that's all you need. Now we actually started with N when we started Model Railways, and I gave it up at the time because I couldn't find anything cheap enough, because at the time there was no Kato pocket line. I did find out about the Pico wagon kits that are very good. That's where the tankers come from that we're about to get. But I was struggling to uncouple, and unfortunately everybody I spoke to said, yeah, you can't uncouple in N. Well, actually, as I'm demonstrating here, you can couple and uncouple really well in N using standard Arnold couplings. They tend to couple quite well. You simply lift the hooks with the hook. You don't even really need sometimes to be able to see it. They just seem to naturally uncouple. Like that one. I can't even really see what I'm doing there, but I know from feel that I just put it in. That's the next wagon that we want in the consist. I'm just going to run that back. So this was a relatively simple one. This is a little bit shuttle backwards and forwards. Keep knocking the tripod. But it gives you the idea. Now Doug did the maths, and it's something like a couple of thousand or more combinations with, I think that was with 9 wagons, with 6, 7 wagons, 3 sidings. There's certainly several thousand combinations. Now I've also done this, if I'm not worried about trying to run passenger trains, I can get 10 wagons, and then that makes the shunting that much more interesting. You can get 6 or 7 in the siding, bring the loco round and shunt. And there's another option as well, which I'll show you in a minute. But then what I really like about this is, having got my consist, my train can run off, across the level crossing, past the rock face, past the station. It's actually going somewhere. It's off to do its job. And then you can almost accept that it's gone in the tunnel and it's another train coming round. And then one of the other things you can do, and this is if you like to copy some of the American ideas where they do what they call spotting, is to, rather than say, right, these are the wagons I take away, say, right, I've got 2 sidings, I want 2 wagons in each siding. Which wagons do I want in each siding? So I've got 4 cards here that I've got at the bottom of the board. And I just put them at the bottom. Obviously, it'd be a lot better when I've got the actual cards. But I know now that I want the black tagger and the green tarp in the back siding. So that is relatively simple. I've got the black tanker. Now, if this isn't your sort of thing, some people it isn't. I found I really love shunting. I love the shunting puzzle. It might be a bit sad, but I can sit and do this for an hour quite happily, watching trains doing, if you like, working. Because that's what they're doing, isn't it? Oh, interestingly, you see, that one is the one we want. I wasn't checking. This is, after all, what shunting locomotives do. There you go. A little bit tricky, that one. It's because I'm not sat down, I'm stood up. Actually, I've done that. I've done it the wrong way around. So this is because I'm talking in. I actually want those 2 here. So that's quite simple. I can change the point. Pull those out of the way. But it does make you stop and think. So I like the shunting puzzle. That's because I knocked that one when I was fumbling around. And I can't get to it properly now because I'm not. There we go. I'm just as likely to knock them, by the way, in double O, before anybody says, yeah, that's in, that's too fiddly. It's because I'm not sat down, I'm not at the right angles. Let's just knock that over. Oh, those 2 are not wanting to couple. See, I said as soon as I try and video, things will stop working. I was at the very good New Haven Model Railway Club exhibition at Seaford yesterday, and I was talking to a couple of the exhibitors there. He said very similar things about exhibiting. That the minute they exhibit, everything starts going wrong. In my case, I'm so busy talking to you, I'm not looking at the order that I'm supposed to be putting them in. So that's supposed to be there. Points, of course, work wonderfully. I had a very interesting conversation with Phil, who some of you will know from the exhibition circuit, who I've converted to Kato track. Initially, you think Kato points are expensive until you realise they've got point motors in them, at which point they're actually not expensive at all. Because, so I'm just trying to get this one right now, because if you were to buy a Pico point, I don't know, about 15 odd quid now, and a point motor, another 10, 15 pound, and a mounting bracket, you're well over £35. And Kato points are about £30, £35. But of course, what you haven't got is all the faffing around with wiring and trying to hide the point motor under the track or in a building on the surface, because the point motor is, and I don't know how they do it, is hidden in the track. Yep, so I've finally got this one right. We've got one more to put in. There we go. And these are the excellent Kato pocket line steeple cab locos. They really are very smooth, quiet, reliable shunting locomotives. Currently, Train Tracks, Gauge Master, the Model Centre have all got that black one and two wagons around the £38 to £40 mark, including postage, which is quite ridiculous if you think what Hornby would want for a double O train pack that's very similar. That's me being silly again. They don't like to couple on a curve is the only thing I've found. So there we go. Only a couple of little things there, and that's because I'm not sat down. But you get the idea. You can either do a consist to pull out, or you can designate which siding you want wagons in, and you can do that. I've got a couple of sets of wagons. I've got some very nice short Pico wagons. I've got 3 or 4 colours in those. I've got half a dozen locos that will run on the layout. I've got 3 locos that will run in the siding. I've got some very nice Pico wagons as well. So lots that you can do in a very small layout. If this was my only layout, I could live with it. In fact, I've been using this more than the large one I've got. And the other big advantage is that this currently is on the desk in Doug's room. He's away at uni. Hi, Doug. This would normally be on my desk in the conservatory, but it's too cold in the conservatory. Because it's so small, I can pick it up, bring it upstairs, put it on Doug's desk and run some trains. So I did say that I would talk about the other projects. So you will have seen the earlier videos where I was working on the Japanese layout, and I have been experimenting with making paddy fields for that, and I've got a few buildings. And talking to Matthew from the Shunting Club on Saturday at Seaford, I've got to realise I've got to concentrate on that one. It'll be a really good layout to exhibit because the idea is people will be to have a go at shunting. It'll be Japanese, it's a bit different. It'll be 1.6 metres long, which is quite big for an engaged shunting layout. So there'll be a lot there to actually look about. So I'm actually stopping a lot of my other little side projects that I have running. I've got this layout here that pretty much means I can run trains whenever I want, both watch them go round and shunt. And then I'll concentrate on the bigger one for the exhibition in Shunting in May. And in fact, I've just gone and cleared space in the shed so that it will store. I'm just going to pick up a couple more wagons. Oh, wrong one. Doesn't matter that the brake van is in the middle. Just a slightly longer consist to run round. And there you have it. So for me, a really, really good shunting layout, even though it's not a traditional shunting layout, it's an oval. But it's a really good little oval. What I will do actually is just pull this in, and then I'll run the passenger train round. I might have to take a wagon off because I think I've got one too many here to do what I want to do, but we'll have a look. We might just get away with it. I think it's just going to be 2. We'll just take that brake van out. And I can do that one, I can do that one. And we can just run the little passenger train around, which in this case is a tram. The Kato Classic tram looks really good on this as well. But it means I can run some passenger trains if I want, and then go back to shunting goods. Let that have a loop, and then we'll run it back into the siding. The main reason I went for electric points was that point at the back, because I can't quite reach it because of all the scenery. But with the point motors, I don't need to. So there you go. In my view, the best shunting layout I've ever built, and I've built quite a few. It's compact, it's got everything. I can do everything I want with it. So I feel for me, it's probably the best shunting layout I've ever built. Thanks for watching as always.